Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Finance on Your Terms with your host, Mike Benaziak, and my current co-host,
Avyn.
Ah, there it is. Perfect. You can see, actually, we've both done our hair for this series, right?
Mm-hmm.
For some of us, it was more difficult than others. I'll let you determine who. But thank you so much for tuning in again. This series, if it's not obvious, is about kids and money. Last week, we talked about visualization and opportunity cost, the very base that any of us, young or old, need to determine what our goals are, what we're saving for, how we're actually moving towards those goals, and that if we spend money over here, whether it's vacation or LOL doll, that we don't have the money to spend on something else. Today, what I want to talk about is setting a good example. So this is more on my end. I want to talk to Avyn about a couple things too, but setting a good example. No matter how old your kids are, they learn from us. They're sponges, right? And so what they hear, what they see, especially in regards to money, are some of the values and habits that they're going to be developing throughout their life and as they grow older and older. So what does that mean? Well, let's break it down in a couple different ways. The first one is communication about money. Are you having open and honest conversations, not just with your kids, but even with your spouse, significant other, family, about money? And productive conversations versus confrontational conversations. So, do mommy and I ever fight about money? Oh, she's lying. Of course, everyone does, right? But are we choosing to do it to where it's away from Avyn, or it's around Avyn and trying to minimize those situations where it is around Avyn? So she develops positive or helpful mindsets around money versus the stressful mindsets. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of challenges down the road for her. There's challenges for us. We want to be there to help them with those stresses that money will certainly come about for her when it deals with money, but trying to be constructive about them versus confrontational. And so not only is it from a conversational standpoint, but also how are we spending money? You know, what are we using for our money? Are we, when we take out that credit card and just swipe the credit card constantly here and there, that may be perfectly fine for our financial situation, but what are they seeing? And again, what is the conversation that you're having for or with your kids about that? That's that magic card, and this is where we get into a lot of dangerous areas because all they see is swipe, something's paid for, done. Well, they understand, just like last week's conversation, that money's coming from somewhere, right? We've got to pay for that. And even though they don't see the physical cash, the idea that that's what that ultimate result or consequence is that we have to have that cash to be able to pay for it. So setting a good example in your actions, setting a good example in your words. And then one last thing I want to talk about is something that I picked up online, and I had never heard it worded this way. When we think about things like allowances, instead of using the word or the concept of allowances, start using the concept of commissions or pay for work done. So chores versus allowances. Do you have to do chores? So what are some of the chores that you do?
Clean up my room, do my laundry, and feed the dog.
Yeah. Those are good ones. Yeah, those amongst a few other. Depending on the age of your child, those chores can become more and more advanced, and the expectations can get higher and higher. But even at a small age, just literally feeding the dog or just going and picking up a few things in their room, and then as a reward, they're able to get some compensation, whether it's a quarter or $1, or for that week, maybe $5, whatever it is, and whatever's realistic for you and your budget, that's fine. But rewarding that compensation coming as a reward versus just handing out an allowance because here you go, we made it another week, this is what you get to spend. And there's that setting a good example, there's that good mindset of getting the key that they've got to put some effort into earning that money, and that goal becomes more rewarding. And when you go out and buy your doll, you've earned it, right? You just weren't handed the money, but you really earned it. And then you're really going to think hard and long about, all right, do I want to spend that much money on this doll, or can I be spending it on something else? All right? So setting a good example with your words, with your actions, and thinking of commissions versus allowances. And that's the concept for today. That's the theme. Look at this. Look at it. Am I boring you? See, this is what a financial advisor we got to deal with all the time. People's eyes glazing over. It's because she's not getting paid for this. That's the thing. She's not getting paid for this. Either way, thank you so much for tuning in today. We're going to try to wake her up a little bit. Tune in next week to continue our series on kids and money. Thank you so much, and we will see you next week. This has been Mike and Avyn with Finance on Your Terms.